Hello YouTube. I'd like to weigh in on the announcement by the CIA that Russia has hacked into the U.S. presidential election somehow and intervened on behalf of Mr. Trump. The thing about this is they refuse to present any actual evidence that this is true. And my feeling on the matter is that it's because there is no evidence. It doesn't make sense for Russia to want to do this. If there was something to gain by having Donald Trump as president, there's another way to go about harvesting whatever it is that there is to gain, right? Rather than just hacking the election and being subverted, right? Because essentially what the CIA is doing here is accusing Russia of an act of war, which in itself is almost like a declaration of war, right? What we have here in mathematical terms is an asymptote. The statement by the CIA is asymptotic with an actual declaration of war. It's as close as you can get to declaring war against Russia without actually having Congress declare war. And this is just part of the propaganda, part of the fake news that's coming out of the legacy Mockingbird media. Which is essentially nothing more than government propaganda at this point. And really, it's not even government propaganda, it's leftist propaganda, right? It's propaganda from the neolibs and the neocons. And that's kind of the whole thing here, is that they're making this statement knowing that they don't have the evidence and that they're never going to produce the evidence. But the hope is to create enough destabilization within our country that they can use that to sort of enact a coup, right? They want to use the Hegelian dialectic to destabilize the country, have a coup so that they can enforce totalitarian policies, so that they can enforce totalitarian regulations and policies, consolidate authority and power at the federal level, and reduce citizenship to serfdom. This really is the motivation of the neolibs and the neocons. They essentially believe that all life should be subject to the state. All life belongs to the state, and individuals should have no means of self-determination. And so that's kind of what I think is going on here. The CIA is acting on behalf of the Democratic mafia and certain establishment Republicans who would like to see more totalitarian government because it benefits global banks and corporations and consolidates power. Well, they'd like to consolidate power at a federal level because it helps global banks and corporations. It makes it makes it easier for a small power elite to maintain their control over the situation. It's sort of a hedge against the global populist movement that's really getting big. So I just wanted to weigh in on that. You can leave some comments below about your own thoughts. But I encourage you to consider this and think about it, because it's really an example of the bifurcation that's happening within the United States government. You have a democratic mafia that is absorbing neocons and neolibs who essentially they're all statists. They believe that the government should have control over all aspects of life and that individuals shouldn't really have any self-determination, which is essentially the opposite of the nature of government that was designed, by the founding fathers. The idea here in this country was that the authority of the government to govern comes from the people, and the mentality of the democratic mafia and these neocons is that the government inherently has all of this authority, and it throws a few crumbs to the people every now and then when it sees that it's okay for them to have a little autonomy. And so this is the direction that has been going on in the world for a while. This is a globalist movement that the rising populist movement is now fighting. And I'll submit for your consideration that this is a precursor to bigger things to come for the United States. This is an example of a bifurcation that isn't going away. The CIA probably isn't the only rogue agency within our government right now that's going to try to oppose the anti-establishment populist movement. The government's going to try and retain its control over the citizenship. It's going to do its best. These elements within the government that are establishment and totalitarian, they're going to do their best not to relinquish any of the gains that they've made against individual liberties. And so you should probably take some time to consider how that may pan out in the future. And I'll submit for consideration that, this really, not only does it really, from a global scale, everything that's going on really resembles the kind of stuff that was happening before World War II. But to a certain degree, the bifurcation that's happening here in the United States really resembles what was happening before the U.S. Civil War. And so people should probably take some time to consider that. It seems kind of silly right now because most people are pretty aware, despite leftist claims, of Hillary winning the popular vote. If you really take a look at the breakdown of how the country voted, you'll see that there's a very, very small minority of the land area of this country that voted for Hillary, right? So the majority of the municipalities did not want Hillary. A very small number of very populated municipalities did want Hillary because they want handouts, right? They were promised handouts, and they want handouts, and that's a whole other story. So there's definitely this division that's happening, and on the one hand, the legacy Mockingbird media wants to present to you this idea that, the whole country wanted Hillary, and we're going against the will of the people. And they're going to pursue this lie because it's their attempt at the Hegelian dialectic. They want to increase the degree of this bifurcation. They're trying to convert people over sort of to this Marxist side, this Marxist view where we should oppose anyone who supports populism, anyone who's anti-establishment and anti-globalist, because that makes you a racist and an alt-right, Nazi or something like that. When in reality the opposite is really kind of true, right? The policies of the democratic mafia will lead to fascism and totalitarianism. So, it's really kind of funny how hypocritical the Marxist rhetoric has become at this point. Under the Bush administration, everyone realized that the Republicans, were always choosing the wrong platform, right? They put at the front of their platform the worst possible policies, things like gay rights and gay marriage, this sort of anti-environment stance, sort of pro-corporate, corrupt businessman type of attitude that they presented. And everyone realized under the Bush administration that, this isn't the way to go, and the Republican Party kind of died there. And under Obama, the same thing has happened to the Democrats, but they're still kind of fighting it, kicking and screaming. The Democrats have been, pretty much exposed as corporate sympathizers, right? They'd rather have corporate totalitarianism than individual liberties, and so long as the mouthpieces for these corporations pretend to be environmentalists or something like that, then the Marxist left is going to get behind them. What they don't realize is that the majority of the world, the sort of populist movement, has recognized the hypocrisy that's going on in these Marxist sort of regimes, and is making moves against it. And so I'll submit that even though Donald Trump won under the headline, of Republican Party, both the Republican Party and the Democratic Party are essentially dead at this point internally. I think the reason maybe that Donald Trump was able to, or the reason that he chose to go with the Republican Party, is that he kind of recognized at a national level, at a federal level, that politics was somewhat still determined through this two-party system, even though all the citizens of this country have more or less abandoned that ideology. Anyway, thanks for listening. Leave some comments. I look forward to reading all the stupid things that trolls have to say, because it makes me laugh. Thanks.